Hello everyone, and welcome to a small recap of Axis and Allies Stalingrad, of my solo playthrough. We reached round 11, that is the end of it. And what happened? Well, first of all, these Katyushas were pretty effective on their turn when they fired. They took out a German artillery in Gumrak and a German infantry in Orlovka. I also could have chosen to target these Germans over here, thereby denying them these 2 victory points for the next turn, that is. But yeah, I decided against it, and I tried to open up the way to Gumrak so these units would be able to enter Potomnik on the region board. This particular unit left the ambush site to move in Skopturna Park, which was already Russian control at the time, but it wasn't doing much here anymore. This one I left here because it will still be able to fire into the southern station on the next round perhaps, or into the grain elevator if the German unit moves in here. The Germans do control a couple of RP zones again, Kuporosnoye and the southern railway station over here, and also on the region board they control a number of RP sites again. They've taken Kletskaya, and they've also eliminated the Katyusha over here. As I said on my previous video, even though the Katyushas can fire when they're being engaged, I suppose hits are still required to take them out, that it doesn't happen automatically, but in this round they actually succeeded, so the Germans are in control of these 2 areas again. And over here in Petrovka, even though it's not a victory area, they've also eliminated the Russian tank there. It did cost them an Axis minor infantry, but they took control of the area. Well, over here as well, they've eliminated the Russian threat, and there are solely German units here. There's a tank and a tank destroyer in Potomnik, but they have to be careful for the Russians who are approaching from the city and will probably try to move on to the region board. Over here in the north as well, they're gathering strength to move up into Rheinok on the region board and get supply that way again. I didn't put any additional Russian units here during their reinforcement phase because I don't think it's really needed anymore. It doesn't look like it's really needed anymore. It will take them ages to get to the other side of the board anyway, which they don't have time for. Maybe some tanks, which I did place onto the region board, but I'll show that to you soon. And over here in the north, the Russians are slowly but surely moving up into Spartanovka, as I said, to move on to the region board and clear the path in the north. The Russians had saved their RPs on the previous round. You can still only place a single unit in these reinforcement areas. So I bought 3 tanks, and I still have, I believe it's like 6 or 8 IPCs left, so I can use them on the next turn. Put a tank here, which will be at risk from these Germans probably, but anyway, yeah, in hindsight, maybe that wasn't the best move. Then again, at least it does keep the Germans somewhat under pressure here so that they won't be able to move all units into Potomnik. What else? Well, I put a unit over here. I was actually thinking of right away moving it to Dubovka or Potomnik, but I think the units from the city can actually do that. And on the next round, I think I want to place an extra infantry unit here. The Germans, of course, might attack. Note that the river is frozen and you don't get a defensive bonus for it. Then again, I don't think the Germans will actually attack because then they'd be giving up this RPC area because unlike the Russians, the Germans actually need to occupy those, and simply having been the last to control it is not enough. So I don't think they will actually try to leave it, although they could move 1 or both units here. But yeah, these will probably try to take these 2. And I put another Russian tank up here, which also could have moved in here, for instance, but I think I first want to make sure to get an additional infantry unit up there as well to get a somewhat larger force. But the Germans do have a couple of RP areas. Again, they didn't have them at the end of the previous round. Well, they did have them, but they didn't occupy them, which they do now again. So let's see if that's going to give them any more chances to buy some infantry or something. If they do, they have to place them in the Operation Winter Storm areas. But yeah, and then I haven't been using road movement optimally yet. Actually, haven't used it much. But yeah, if you actually place it in here or here, you can actually get to the city pretty quickly. Place a tank in here, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can move right into Potomac, or you can move straight um, into Gumrak if it's friendly. Sorry, yeah, up to into Gumrak as well. So you can move right away from these areas into there, which is strategically very important. And that's why you need to, well, you probably want to make sure that these areas remain German. So it's a very quick route to the city that way. Um, and I guess also earlier on in the game that could be a strategy. Even though you get to play some units here, it's not really tanks, but yeah, definitely road movement is a way to very quickly get some tanks, etc., into the city in general. That's definitely true. So I guess this about concludes game turn 11. Thank you very much for watching, and see you on the next one, as always.